So principle vibration, which is actually the third principle, in fact, whereas for us it was the first, is immutable, okay? So in the principle of vibration, what we did was we were introduced to the seven operations of alchemy, which then actually became 12 and 32 because they're endless as well. But there's seven classic ones, yeah? So we learned about the seven operations of alchemy, planets, we learned about flames, yeah? We learned about rays and the metals and how it is that we actually apply those in process to get a transformation or get a transmutation, yeah? So that's what we were introduced to that. We were also introduced to the tarot, yeah? We were introduced to the clip-off and a whole bunch of other stuff that's to do with the whole concept of the tree of life and all that kind of business, yeah? When it actually came to vibration, we actually learned how to heal, raise and adjust our vibration in order to be a conduit or a transmuter of higher vibration. So the reason vibration was first was to set us up, to raise our vibe so that we can allow the rest to happen, yeah? So that's why vibration was first. So the second one to that was the principle or the law of rhythm, which is actually in fact the fifth principle, but we did it on day 2. So rhythm, is that immutable or not immutable as a law, as a cosmic law, as a universal law?
No. Rhythm is the dancer. No.
No? Who said no?
It is.
No, it is. Anyone else?
I think it's not.
You think it's not? Okay, why do you think it isn't? Those who said they think it isn't.
I don't know, that's intuition.
That's a good answer. Anyone see?
I asked from source, it's a no.
You got a no? Okay. I actually got a yes. Because vibration needs to have a certain rhythm, doesn't it? So it's either going to be, you know, a little bit like this or a little bit like that. So if you think about it, can our vibration be something that is always constant and consistent, always vibrating in the same way?
It could.
It could.
So it could change. It's always susceptible to alter.
Alteration?
Yes, that's how
I'm not saying that it's a must, I'm just telling you what I got from it. I got from it that it's immutable for
The
me.
rhythm, I think, is immutable. Yeah.
If you think that it isn't, then, you know, again, investigate on it further and find out why, you know, you're getting that it might not be. Okay. So what is it that we got from this? Rhythm is very close to polarity. Rhythm is what polarity does, actually, but we did rhythm first, okay, not afterwards. Why? Because this is the way vibration behaves. Rhythm, that's it, it's the description of the behaviour of vibration. Okay, that's actually what it is. But it's quite close to polarity. And we learned how to manage the intensity of the rhythm. So we have this example of a pendulum that swings from one end of polarity to the other end of polarity in whichever situation it might be, right? So rhythm tells us where it is that we are along that scale, if we were to use a pendulum, okay? So we also learned what the difference is between polarity and duality, because they're similar but they're different, okay? And the difference actually is that with polarity, what you've got here is it's the same thing, but it's the measure, it's the degree. So the example would be water. Water can be hot and it can be cold. So they appear to be opposites, but it's just the degree of the temperature that changes, okay? So this is what rhythm is kind of akin to, in a way, yeah? In rhythm, we also learned about the sub-laws in that class, because, you know, there's these 7 Hermetic principles, the 7 major laws, but you've also got like a whole bunch of other ones, and that's where we were introduced into some of those other ones. And rhythm is also corresponding to the law of compensation, and we dealt with that extensively in this law, if you remember. Why? because we tend to compensate with where it is that we are. So with rhythm, we usually tend to lean between towards the more denser frequencies, and our objective and target is to push ourselves up to the higher frequencies, okay? But when we're in the lower end of the scale, we tend to compensate for it in some weird way. Sometimes compensation can be a good thing, but usually we use it in a way that's negative, it's detrimental usually. And that's what we kind of worked with, if you remember. So I'm just kind of refreshing you, like where it is that we went when we did that one. The next day, our day 3 was polarity, which in fact is the 4th Hermetic principle. Is polarity immutable or not?
It's not.
I can see some people working on that right now. What are you getting? Polarity?
No, I get
Not getting that.
no. No, I get that it's not.
It's not.
Because the side, it can go there. It's not.
It's only on this level of awareness.
Right.
No.
So it is for now. It is until now. It's needed. It's a must. Do you know what I mean? But then once we are able to really get the command of the rhythm, yeah, then we can be less polarized, or we can be able to polarize ourselves more at the higher end of the scale. Okay? So yeah, it is, but for now, we're hoping that it won't be at some point, yeah? Okay. So again, polarity is 2 aspects of the same, the difference is degree, as I explained earlier on, because those 2 overlap, rhythm and polarity, yeah? And we learned where and how we are polarized and how to move from denser to high vibration. The next one was gender, yeah? So that was the one that we did last. It's actually the 7th principle, but we did it for our 4th day. Everything is masculine and feminine. Now, is gender immutable or not immutable? Is it an immutable truth? Immutable. Anyone else got the opposite to that? I'm getting wrong.
Actually, it's immutable up to a very high level and then not.
Yeah, kind of getting that.
Up to a very high level and then not.
Everything is kind of, you see, this comes under the umbrella of polarity again. Do you know what I mean? Male, female. Do you know what I mean? So yes, it is required, and we do need to set that straight, and I invite you to keep working on the law of gender because it's huge. We couldn't really cover it if we worked on it for 1,000,001 years, to be honest with you. So what I'm saying is that it is keep working with that one because it's a huge law and it's definitely applicable, but we definitely have to set the record straight on that one, yeah, because that one is a mess, right? Okay, so what did we deal with gender? We dealt with corruption, we dealt with contamination that are associated with the male and the female frequencies. Yeah, that's what we did. And you know, we've come into the realization, of course, that the law of gender doesn't apply only if you are male or you are female, you are both within, you carry both. So we kind of draw all that to the surface of our awareness so that we can start putting that straight. How to restore to the original function and fuse them together. So I'm underlining that because we needed to heal and correct each gender trait, but then bring them together. Because what is unity consciousness therefore all about? Isn't this it? It's not about keeping the gender traits separate, it's about healing them and fusing them, bringing them together as one. Which is why towards the end of the ceremony we talked about the middle pillar and the middle path. Yeah? The pillar of mercy. Okay. So that brings us to today, where we are at today. Yeah? Today is correspondence. Is correspondence immutable?
Yes.
Yeah? Anyone else get not immutable? Okay.
I don't know, again, I suppose it's like outside a certain area.
They're tricky because they do overlap, don't they? They overlap.
It's like you can go like with all of them to a certain point where they are, and then they're not.
Right.
You know, kind of thing. If you really, really kind of want to investigate it really well and see it, and you can see it that it's not in some other realm that I don't know.
It's definitely
there's other
applicable to us here.
linearly.
Sort of thing. Do you know what I mean? Yeah, it is. But when I investigated it deeply, I got that it is, because everything is connected to everything. You know, this is what all of the ancients have been teaching for forever, and it's one of those things that are immutable truth, simply because everything corresponds to everything. Everything links to everything. Because if you think about it, if this law was to suddenly be gone, for example, that means everything falls apart. Do you know what I mean? It's the web that holds consciousness together in a way. So looking at it from that perspective, I would say that it's probably one of the immutable ones from that angle. So today what we're doing is we are actually reconnecting to this natural law, because it's a very natural law. What is it that we correspond to? What is it that we've forgotten that we should have been corresponding to? And why isn't it operating? You know, I've forgotten that I'm that too. You know that I am that? That's today. It's what we correspond to. Do you know what I mean? Okay, but then there's the negative side of that as well. What is it that we are corresponding to that is an absolute no-no? And that's somewhere deep at times in our subconscious or in our energy fields that we don't realise that we're plugged into some very nasty stuff. Some of it can be very nasty, some not so nasty. But what we need to do is unplug that today. Yeah? We need to unplug from our erroneous investments. So that's because we've got the law of correspondence basically all wrong. Because we've plugged into it in a way that is erroneous, basically. Yeah? So artificial correspondence and bad investments. I sound like a banker. Right, so because we're on all of this, I'm going to cover all of them today. Right, and you can go back to YouTube and watch it later, and you can work a little bit deeper on it if you want to. So the next one after today is cause and effect, which is the sixth one and is the sixth one in the Hermetic laws, which is kind of weird, I think, since the rest weren't in the same order. Now, is cause and effect and immutable one, excuse me.
No.
Thank you. Absolutely. It is for most at the moment. Those who awaken to a certain degree will understand that it is not an immutable law, because it is very strongly linked to its sub-laws, which are karma, time, magnetism, and the infamous law of attraction. All these are subcategories of the law of the cause and effect. Okay, so that's a real juicy one. That's next time. Okay. And then the day after, we go straight into the law of mentalism, okay? And in our Hermetic principles, it's first in line, but we've got it on the seventh day, okay? So, law of mentalism, immutable or not immutable?
Very much immutable.
You know what? I'm not going to discuss this one until day 7, because I've got a real enormous, huge truth bomb to drop on you with the law of mentalism. So I'm not going to go into discussing that, but what I will say is that all is mind, and all of the laws are born from this law. Okay? And that is day 7. Okay. So we're going to go into like a pre-ceremony discussion about that when it comes to that on day 7 as well. Don't worry, I will not leave you in the lurch. So, babe, have you got how many minutes we've done on that?
18.
18? Okay, so cut that one there, we're going to the next one, thanks.